America is said to have a predominantly Christian culture. In this video and the next, I will definitively show you that my approach is correct. I will ask the right questions, and I'll go over Revelation 6, and I believe it's Revelation 8, and we'll get to that. Basically, I'll talk about the connection between the seven deadly sins and the seven seals in Revelation, and I will reveal to you how they're actually talking about sealing humanity here in this world. It is the only logical application. As before I've said there was a connection. I don't believe I've ever really explored it and proven it to you one-to-one. And I said that there are a variety of outcomes depending on whether the divine order can be restored on earth, and it cannot. There will be no living forever here in this world. Basically, the people who are right with the Creator will be separated. It will be sealed. In fact, the word seal is even used toward the end of this book in the Bible to, cap something, to seal it. And if I have time, I'll go over that. So, Revelation, reveal a shun, right? And yesterday, they went out their way to have license plates that basically said that they were shunning people like me. There was several license plates back to back that had to do with the sun and shunning the sun cycle. So I'll present to you definitive proof. Okay. I'll do that. I'll go ahead and do that right now on the screen. Hopefully I remember. All right. So number one, one of four living creatures. The first seal. Okay, Revelation 6. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the seven seals. Then I heard one of the four living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow. I think Neith and Athena, right? Its rider had a bow. He was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. This also goes back to Ebo. And if we have time, we'll go over the palm branches and the palm trade, the palm oil trade with the colonists in Nigeria, really Biafra, Igbo land. Okay. All right. So this is about pride. It is a white horse, the moon temple color, right? It is a bow, okay, and they're bent on conquest. Why? It's right there in the word conquest, out of pride. Okay, this is a reaction to pride and is symbolic of one of the seven sins, pride. Now let's look at the second seal and how it relates to wrath. When the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." Then another horse came out, a fiery red one, red, the principles of evil, right? And the symbol, the color of Lower Egypt, Northern Egypt. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make men slay each other. To him was given a large sword. Okay, fiery red horse to take peace, right? And was given a large sword, symbolic of wrath and rage that's not based in righteous indignation. So when you carry a heavy sword, armor, right, the knights of the Round Table, the Round Table group, the Club of Rome, right? These are people putting on a lot of muscle, and with wrath, they're swinging their weapon and not focusing righteous indignation in a responsible and respectable manner. So the third seal. Okay, when the Lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Black, the symbol of the color of covering things up, right? Darkness, okay? Its rider was holding a pair of scales. Again, Athena, right? The scales and the story of Arachne. Okay, and we'll get to that. This definitively connects Greek mythology right here in this chapter. Anyway, its rider was, okay. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine." This is gluttony, right? They're talking about food, and they're talking about wine, okay? Again, the lard that makes the oil, right? Gluttony. Okay, they're talking about getting paid for wages, right? This is a quart of wheat. This is symbolic of food, among other things. This is symbolic of the sin of gluttony. Okay. When the Lamb opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice. Okay, let me go back a bit. A quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages. Okay. These are measurements, measuring how much food you should eat. So whether this amount symbolizes the appropriate amount of pay and amount of diet, right, deity diet, or it is talking about people who, one way or another, it's referring to people who eat too much and how much they should be eating. Okay. Anyway, when the Lamb opened, so now we're Revelation 6:7. When the Lamb opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. Hades, this is the New International Version, right? Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. Now, this one is a little bit harder to ascertain, but the sin that they're referring to here is lust. The story of Hades with Persephone comes to mind. Why did he kidnap her? What was the deal that was made? Look up that story, okay? And again, it is a pale horse, which symbolizes less life. When we're sick, we're pale, right? So it's sickness, it's lust, it's kind of empty sex that doesn't bring in about life, but pale, sickly, nonsensical sex, right? Sex without concentrating on mind, body, soul health, but sickly, sick in the head, right? Lust is a result of somebody who's in a sick state of mind. Okay. So then we go on to the fifth seal, which is going to talk about greed. When he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the soul of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony they had maintained. They called out in a loud voice, "How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood?" Then each of them were given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer. Right? Don't be greedy. Don't be selfish. Okay? Wait a little longer until the number of their fellow servants and brothers who were killed, who were to be killed as they had been, was completed. Okay? So they're not doing it for themselves. They're not being greedy. They're waiting until more people like them die, and then the people who have killed them out of greed, right? Just like John the Baptist calling out Herod, okay? He's basically saying, you're being greedy, okay? What you're doing is wrong. It is greedy. So this fifth seal is mankind being sealed for their greed. So far they're being sealed for their pride, their wrath, their gluttony, their lust, their greed. And also the greed relates to positions in the structure. Right? These people were bearing the testimony of the Lord, which makes rich people look bad. Remember, it also goes back to Matthew 19, 23, the camel and the eye of the needle, and rich people having trouble getting to heaven. It goes back to James, I believe James 5, 1-7, and other scriptures as well. They were killing them because they were greedy. And they didn't want to accept the truth. Just like they're cheating me out of my rightful place and my family out of their money because they're greedy. I watched as you, and of course you look at how rich people spend their money, right? 3 billion people live on less than $3 a day. Okay, what would prevent this from happening if people accepted the truth and sacred morality? Okay, these people are killing people, millions of people every year. 60 million preventable deaths or so every year because of their greed. So of these preventable deaths, which ones are the most repugnant? Which ones are they going out of their way to kill instead of kind of generally killing them? Like a whole country full of people who are poor and so on. The people who are trying to correct them in their ways. Okay. So we go to the sixth seal. This is sloth, which means without divine care, with empty, void of the Spirit of the Lord, and in self-pity. It'll become very obvious when I read this one. This is one of the more obvious ones. Okay. I watched as he opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red. Again, the Nazi flag, right? Black, white, and red. Okay, this moon turns red, the blood moon. Instead of reflecting the sun's rays and being yellow, it is red. Okay, the principles of evil. The woman has turned to the principles of evil. The sun turned black. Why? Because they were waiting for the fifth seal, remember, for the number of their fellow servants and brothers who were to be killed as they had been was completed. They're waiting for me to die. Where we are right now, logically, is between the fifth and the sixth seal. After I'm dead, no more righteous people can go to heaven when you truly get the true message here. Now, in the book, that's not exactly what it's saying in the Bible. But remember, it's by the book. And I bet you if we were to really examine what is going on here after the people are sealed, relative to the seal, and it's chapter 7, and it's 144,000. Remember, 7 times 2 is 14. Okay. So these numbers also, these are significant numbers. Okay. Anyway, we're running a long time. I'm just going to have to shoot through this. Okay. I watched as he opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth and made of goat hair, right? Goat, Baphomet. The whole moon turned blood red. And the stars in the sky fell to earth as late figs, right? Figure, family tree, dropped from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. Set the Lord of the storms, the wind, the Canaanite god El, the storm god, and so on. The sky receded like a scroll, rolling up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. When the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and every slave and every free man, so they're referring to the social order. They're saying, hey, yes, this is about you're interfering with the divine order. Hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains, they called to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. The face, Horus as faith, as face, right? Face us, face eyes. They can't face them. Horus the Avenger. Remember, they're calling for them to avenge them in the fifth seal, to avenge their blood. Horus the Avenger. Face. Hor means face. Okay? For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can stand? They didn't stand with the righteous. So there's a strong parallel there to stand with Pharaoh, stand with the top martial artist, the true prince of Ra-Day, Ra-Cub's ladder, the family tree. Stand with him. Okay, this is the last rung on the family tree going up. After this is the point of life, this is the end. So then it goes on to 144,000 sealed. And then we get to Revelations 8, it is. The seventh seal and the golden censer, right? Censer, right? Also, it's a play on words. To censor your speech, right? When he opened the seventh seal, there was a silence in heaven for about half an hour, okay? They're trying to keep my word from getting out, okay? Keep me from conveying God's true message. They don't have a more logical counter argument, and if they did it publicly, everyone would see how they're playing stupid, trying to avoid my key points, and the masses of people everyone who's sane would see that I'm right, and whoever is trying to argue against me is wrong, and they're evil to try to pretend that I'm wrong. It would be crystal clear. And I saw 7 angels who stand before God, and to them were 7 trumpets. Another angel who had a golden censer came and stood at the altar. This symbolizes envy. I'm not going to have the time to go through it, but everything that happens, these people are basically sad. You go up to 13. As I watched, I heard an eagle that was flying in midair, calling in a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth.